6,000 kilos of textiles to landfill every 10 minutes. So that's one adult-sized elephant worth of clothing going to landfill every 10 minutes. We're one of the worst in the world. None of it sat well with me. It seemed like it was a big problem here. Why were we not talking about textile waste?
Hello. Most of us throw old clothes in a donation bin and assume they will get recycled. The reality is, huge percentage ends up as a waste. Today, we'll be unpacking what actually happens and how one founder quit 9 to 5 to fix this problem. I am joined by Isha, founder of After, a Melbourne-based startup. Before After, you were working in corporate roles across marketing, digital, and data roles. What was the moment you couldn't ignore this problem anymore?
I think it was a moment where I faced personally where I was trying to clear out my wardrobe, and I had a lot of textiles and clothes that just were pretty low quality. I didn't want to give it away to friends or family, and at the time I was quite a big shopper, so I grew up as a typical teenage girl that loved going to the mall, loved shopping, particularly a lot of fast fashion, without really thinking of the impact of what I was purchasing. And so then a couple of years down the line, when I was clearing out my wardrobe, I had those clothes that were just a bit worn out that I didn't really want to give away to friends or family, or it just felt wrong to donate it because it just wasn't high quality. And that's kind of when I looked online to see, all right, what can I do with this category? Like, I don't want to throw it in the bin. That kind of feels wrong. What can I do? And much to my surprise, there was nothing there. And instead, I started to see statistics on textile waste and just how big this problem is in Australia. So one of the stats I saw was that Australians are throwing away around 6,000 kilos every 10 minutes. We're throwing away 6,000 kilos of textiles to landfill every 10 minutes. So for concept, like that's one adult-sized elephant worth of clothing going to landfill every 10 minutes. We're one of the worst in the world in consuming and producing textile waste. And there was just so much in terms of how much we're consuming and discarding, and none of it sat well with me. It seemed like it was a big problem here. And then again, nothing was really happening. Didn't seem like anyone was talking about it. There was a lot of conversation. Plastic waste, e-waste, all other types of waste. We all wear clothes. We all have textiles in some form or the other. Why were we not talking about textile waste? And that's kind of, I guess, the moment that I wanted to do something about it.
Oh my God, that's interesting. You picked up an environment problem and you wanted to do something about it. Now you found the gap, you found the issue. And why did you think that you wanted to build a firm, a startup to recycle the textile waste? Was there any other firm already existing doing that, recycling the textile waste, or are you the first ones in Melbourne or in Australia?
We weren't the first. We were one of the very first few, but we weren't the first.
Okay.
But I think desire to want to do something about it and turn it into a startup is not even related to textile waste or sustainability. I think growing up, I was very much surrounded by entrepreneurship. And I majored it in my undergraduate degree. I did a master's in entrepreneurship. So I kind of always knew that the corporate life wasn't for me. I did different roles in corporate, but I knew that this was not going to be my, forever game. I was just there to kind of build my skills, build my experience, good or bad, it's experience. And so that's kind of, I just knew that this is not my forever. And so it was during my master's that I was working as well. I was studying part-time. So everything part-time. And then that's kind of when I cleared out my wardrobe and I had that moment. I kept doing corporate for a while. And I was doing After on the side. And it was around 2024 that I actually got made redundant from my corporate job. And that was my push, my sign from the universe to just go all in, full-time on the business. Scariest thing I ever did, but probably the best decision I made. And here I am.
That's great. I mean, that's right. You stand at the edge of the cliff, and you take that to take that one leap. People get scared, and then I mean, you have that self doubts, imposter syndrome kicking in, and you never know, right? It's the scariest moment, and looks like it. You have done the right thing, and it's not looking back, and you're all moving forward, upwards and onwards, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, so you build a startup. Many sustainability ideas struggle to become commercially viable. How did you design after so sustainable textile reuse could work as a real scalable business?
Yeah, I actually really like this question because it's really spicy. I think I think it used to be challenging for sustainability businesses to be successful. I think that's a statement that was very true. I think things, from what my perspective is and what I'm seeing in the industry, is really rapidly changing. I think previously they struggled because they were solving a moral problem, not a market problem. It was more so that, like, to feel good, to make others feel good, but not an actual economic or market problem that was being solved. So I think the purpose was very different. Plus, a couple of years ago, capital for sustainability business was very difficult. It wasn't scalable finances, mainly grants or donations. It wasn't as scalable, the finance that sustainability businesses would receive. And also, I think sustainability always was under just CSR, corporate social responsibility. It wasn't embedded into finance, embedded into operations or procurement. It was just on a CSR, slide deck in a corporate, presented in one meeting, and then kind of pushed to the side. I think now we're coming to a point where it's no longer a nice to have. I think consumers are demanding it, and not just promises, but proof of it, from all types of businesses and industries. And I think we're seeing that more of us, the everyday person, is being affected by climate change. It's affecting more and more of us. We're seeing it more firsthand. And now it's not just in developing countries, it's everywhere. And it actually always was, but I think we're becoming more educated and we're opening our eyes up to it. So because of that, consumers are demanding it more from businesses. So I think the shift of making sustainability more built into operations and seeing it as actually it's good for business and good for planet, not just good for planet, and I think with after, like, a big thing of what I wanted from the start was like, yeah, we are in sustainability, but I don't want us to be like a sustainability business. I want us to be, we're waste, we're textile waste, we're waste solutions, but we need to provide value in that. So that's convenience, it's moving stock, moving, textiles that's sitting in a warehouse, taking up space. Space storage is money. We want to remove waste as fast as possible and making it more convenient for our, clients. And also offering like tangible impacts, so impact reports for both households and businesses that we service, so they can see like firsthand the impact that they're making, and then show that proof to their stakeholders or to those, people that are important to them. So I think what we've tried to do it after is to kind of give something back to everyone that recycles with us, that they can, take back and show that they've done, something themselves that's very impactful. It's got a direct impact to it. It's no longer just through like donating something that you'll just never see the impact of ever again. Yeah.
Nice. That's interesting. Now, yes, you just took us through the process of how you started this company and what made you to design this company as a commercial viable startup. Now, can you walk us through how textile waste is collected, disposable actually works, and where the system breaks down today?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, at After, we focus on unwearable end-of-life textiles. So we're focusing on those items that are torn, worn, stained, that you wouldn't donate to your local charity stores. You don't want to give it to a friend or family member. It's just really worn out. Or for commercial sense, that could look like end-of-life material that looks like scraps, or any soft furnishings from manufacturers, or even uniforms with old branding that needs, to be protected in terms of IP, and that might need secure destruction. So that's where we play in. In terms of textile waste in general, in Australia and New Zealand, we have a great culture of donating. When we feel like we're finished with, a lot of not just clothing, all kinds of household goods, we would like to donate because we feel good about it. It's free. It's accessible. There's so many op shops and charity stores around us. There's so many pathways that you can donate. But what started to happen is we were starting to donate a lot of low quality items, which meant we were firstly donating a lot, and we were donating a lot of crap. And because of that, the charity stores started to get overwhelmed. And they're non-for-profits at the end of the day. Their bread and butter is not sorting through things and keeping or trying to repair what's not, wearable. If it's not wearable, they do not have the resources to make it wearable again. It is easier for them to discard it, unfortunately. And that's how we started to generate more and more waste, because we were donating a lot of crap to charity stores who then had to discard a lot. So just because of low quality donations. So that's where we see a lot of textile waste come from. And that's why with, at After, we try to educate people. When you're donating, donate responsibly. Check what you're donating. If you can't repair it, well, if it's repairable, repair it yourself. Don't expect the charity stores to donate it or to repair it for you, or if it's not repairable and you don't think someone would wear it, don't donate it. Don't throw it away either, because there's no way. We
So
say throw away.
So what should we do then in that case? If you're not,
If it's clothing and textiles, you can recycle it with After, or any other textile recycling service. But yeah, before you do that, there's so many other things you can do. If you can repair it, if you can reuse it, repurpose it, sometimes, a lot of women have dresses that they haven't worn in the longest time, but they're beautiful dresses. Yes, you can donate that, but then why don't you do like a clothes swap with your friends, Swap some clothes, swap your wardrobes, rent it out, make some extra money, sell it even. Like, there's so many options out there. It's a little bit of effort, but it can go a really long way. And I think every single person's action can make a really big difference.
so if I understand this correctly, you have a warehouse and you collect on these clothes, and then you take it back to your warehouse, and you make sure you take the right clothes, or the clothes that can be recycled, and you put it into a plant and you recycle them. Is that on a high level? Is that correct? Is that what your structure is?
Yeah, high level, pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much. And that, if I want to understand more deeply about the business model, is the warehouse is something you don't own? It would have been leased.
Yeah, that's right. So we're kind of sharing a space.
Right. Where would you make money from in this model? Is it, I saw one of your posts on your LinkedIn where you work with one of the councils and you're thanking them as well, I believe. So you work with these community-based organizations, and would they pay you? I'm curious to understand that the pricing.
Yeah.
You get paid.
Yeah, no, good question. So essentially, we do not take any textiles for free, whether it's a household or a business or a council or a charity store. We don't take it for free. So it's our cost. We charge a fee to collect and recycle. Whether you're a household, it could be around $35 for 10 kilos, and we'll come to your doorstep and pick it up. Or if you're a business, we'll be collecting, like, let's say 10 pallets of textiles, and they will pay us to come collect it and recycle it responsibly. So every single, collection recovery that we do, it's charged by, like, to a household or a business. So like, that's why I say we do B2C and B2B, both households and businesses. But as you could imagine with businesses, it's all sorts of industries. So the council is one of them. But we tend to work with a lot of private businesses, construction projects, fashion brands, corporates with uniforms, sports clubs, schools, post-event, facility management, because there's lots of banners and things like that is just going to waste. And all of these companies have those ESG goals and targets that they try to meet. And so things like waste reduction, plays a direct role into that. So for us, the revenue comes from recovery of the textiles. And then once we collect it, we recycle it and it gets recycled into a yarn again. So it goes back into a thread form. And then that thread goes back into the circular lifestyle. So it goes into home furnishing products or something else, but it becomes a raw material.
So once you recycle it, do you sell it back to the market on a price, or what happens there?
So at the moment, no. We have a recycling partner that takes care of that. So we kind of are more of the facilitator. So we will collect, recover, aggregate, pass it on to, multiple channels that's away from landfill.
Right. So you're more of a mediator, more of a middleman, collecting the waste and giving it to the recycle lab or farm plant, and they will do the rest. And you take it free from the person, from the industry or from council in collecting this waste. And that's where you make you commercially it's viable. Is it correct?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, this is very interesting question to myself. If Isha has started after without any corporate experience versus with corporate experience, how it would have helped you run this business?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I think.
I want to know how corporate experience has helped you. What did you learn from there?
Yeah.
The do's and don'ts.
I think corporate life taught me a lot of what I wouldn't want in an organization that I build.
Tell us about the secret. What you do? Please, because I'll tell you why. There'll be a lot of people who may have an idea similar to yours, and they may be thinking to start something, and they may be having some ideas, and your response will help them to detach those ideas, which the don'ts, what I mean, to start the firm or start their entrepreneurship journey. So yes, please.
I mean, for me, I think with corporate, I never was part of any organization that I didn't love what I was doing. And I just felt like I could not live a life where I don't love my work. One of the companies I was working at was an insurance company. Like, I don't love insurance. I don't think I ever could love insurance. So I think that played a big role for me. But I think also just in terms of culture and people, as I'm sure many of the listeners have come across, you come across people from all walks of life in corporate. And I think it teaches you a lot. And I think it's really good learnings, like really, really good to go through that in terms of how does a team work together, the different types of personalities that come through, what works, what doesn't, communication styles, leadership styles. I saw a lot of the good stuff and the bad stuff. And I think I just took what I wanted to keep and, take into my own organization, and what I didn't want to keep, what was too corporate-y, which is a lot of things. So I think there's a lot of learnings, and I think learning about what you don't want is just as valuable as learning about what you do want, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. But if I want to narrow it down and ask you, what are the 3 things that you picked up from your corporate experience and implemented that in your organization, what would you say? Like, it could be anything. I mean,
I think like teamwork.
Yep.
When I was in really good teams, it's playing to people's strengths, and just like collaborating through that. It's really effective when you've got really good teamwork and collaboration. And I saw that a lot in good teams in corporate from my good experiences. I think it's very much around people, but I'd say the 2-way feedback channels. Every single person that joins the team at After, it's 2-way feedback channel.
Nice.
So I give you feedback, and you give me feedback. Even though I might be like your manager or your boss, I give feedback.
So that's not happening in corporate. Is that correct? The moment you give feedback to your manager, you'll be put on a performance plan. Did I say it correctly? Or was it a secret? I just the cat is out of the bag.
No. I think I had some amazing managers and I had some terrible managers. My
That's
amazing
part of
managers
corporate
is where I
life.
learned. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's why I say like taking the good and the bad
Yep.
from corporate. Yeah. And I just
That's cool.
think things are just so slow in corporate to like, I never saw the true impact of my work that I was doing. Every day, going to the office, I didn't really see where my work was leading to. And I think with after what I try to do is anytime that someone does some work, I show them like, look, you drafted up a blog for our website. It's live. That was you. I didn't write that. You wrote that. Like it's live. It's on our website. We're using it. So you're seeing that tangible impact of your work.
Right.
So I
Nice.
think I listed more of what you don't get at corporate, but again, I learned that by being at corporate. So
Corporate, yeah. And this is so you started, okay, you were working and you were made redundant, and that was the time that you decided, okay, I'm going to go full-fledged into this startup, into this venture. Tell me about the journey where you first, how did you get your first client? How did you pitch yourself? Pretty much market yourself. How did that happen? Because it's a pretty scary journey. You left your corporate, which is an easy job of getting a paycheck. You're getting constant cash flow coming in, and that's stopped. And plus, you have to market yourself to get some sort of cash flow coming in as well through this business.
yeah, absolutely. I think I'm very fortunate that with our first sales, they all came to us. It was all inbound. So our first business customer was a company all the way in Perth. And I had no idea how they found us, but they had inquired and just said, do you service businesses as well? And I was like, yeah, now we do, I guess. And that's how we did it. And that's how I slowly started to build, credibility by using these types of businesses as case studies and saying that we've worked with this business. That was a brick company. They sold bricks, but they just had uniforms and they didn't want to throw it in landfill. So they found after and they loved the idea and they just wanted to send there. So they shipped their uniforms all the way to us in Melbourne. And that's how we got things going. So it really validated to me that people, households and businesses really want a service like this. Really quickly, we started to gain traction when I started the business in lockdown. We started to make sales from the household side before we started businesses. We were already making sales from strangers, from total strangers who had no relation to me, and I'm a nobody. After was a nobody, but there's these people who were paying money to get their textiles collected and recycled with us. So increasingly, really quickly, I was learning that we're onto something and people want this.
Well,
And
nice.
yeah, the rest is history.
So the first client is by accident, by luck, you name it, right? But I want to know, how did you build your second and third client? How did you get that? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, again, it was all inbound, but I still had to work a bit. So it would be kind of building trust as well, because with recycling, it is an industry that's seen as quite high risk, and a real lack of transparency. So I needed to be very clear and transparent as to where their textiles are going, how it's being recycled, what do we do with it. We're not another waste company. We're not throwing things in landfill. So and I think it helped me speaking to a lot of these clients because I am the founder. It was my reputation on the line, and I was explaining that I've been to the recycling facility. I've seen that firsthand. I know exactly how it's recycled. That storytelling, I can speak to it because I've seen it firsthand. And I think when people started to hear that from me directly, it was an instant trust. And so I think that's kind of what led people to want to recycle with us.
Now, you mentioned clients, right? But how did you narrow it down, or how did you segment? These are the potential clients that I can approach and start to market my brand or my venture. How did you select those clients? What was the process behind that?
Yeah, I think again at us, like we have been really lucky that all our, like I'd say like 90% of the businesses we've worked with, which is over
Okay.
200 now, have been inbound. So they've come to us. And we started to see like a pattern in all the businesses that we started to work with. The ones that were interested, the ones that were a bit harder to nail. So that's kind of what fed into our learnings. We were just seeing what was coming through and how people would convert and the types of organizations that were reaching out as well.
If you have to give any sort of insights or
Um,
advice to someone who's got a product and they have to market themselves, and what are the tips would you suggest to them?
I think
Inbound
I-
coming in. Yeah. So, but if that's not the case, what would you recommend? Advice to them?
so. If it's more outbound sales,
Outbound sales, they have a product and they don't know how to market that, how to find a potential client for this product, because there are, you know what I mean?
yeah, I think it's very important to have like that persona, the customer persona. Who are you targeting? We have that for B2C and for B2B.
B2B.
In
Okay.
B2B, we're very clear on the role, the person in the organization, who is the decision maker and who is the champion. And those are the people we try to speak to. Because for us, it's a lot of like people in the sustainability team or the procurement team or the admin team that see boxes in the office and they don't want it to go to the bin. So they
Yep.
do the research, they inquire with after, they get all the information from us, and then they take it up to the higher ups. And then the higher ups have the final decision making power, but they are the champion for us internally, the ones that inquire with us. So those are the people we need to talk to because they can kind of influence everyone else and champion it internally.
Hey,
So
that's a
just
beautiful
knowing, like,
insight. That's very good. Thanks for sharing it,
yeah,
because I never thought about that. Because I'll tell you what, if someone has a product, I'm sorry to interrupt, someone has a product and they want to sell it, the first thing comes to my mind is, okay, let me approach the CEO, the CTO, the CFO. But you are the other way around. You're saying that the people who are actually doing the work, because they are the one, the admin, they manage the admin works, and they don't want to put in a risk as well. So look after them and they will look after you. That's a very beautiful insight.
yeah, exactly. I think we started to really quickly see like receptionists or admin manager or office manager, or it'd be like sustainability manager. Those are the people that were reaching out to us, and always they would ask for our prices, ask how it works, and then they'll be like, okay, cool, I'll take this to my manager and let you know. And then in a few days they'll come back and we're like, cool, we're happy to go ahead with this. So there's always a champion and then a decision maker. And I think knowing who that is in the organization you're talking to is very important, because it could be the same person or it could be different. In our case, it's different.
Oh, okay. You must have, in the last 2 years, when you've gone full time in this venture, you must have met a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of founders, a lot of startups. You've spoken to a lot of them. Okay. What do early founders often misunderstand about accelerators and support networks? What have you seen in your experience?
Yeah. So we've done a couple of accelerator programs and just entrepreneurship programs. And I think what I realized is, firstly, you get what you put in. If you're very passive and you just do the bare minimum to these programs, then you will get the bare minimum in return. So the more you involve yourself, the more you let people know in the cohort who you are. This is who I am. This is the company I've built. This is our problem. This is the challenge we're trying to face. These are our customers. We're sharing as much as you can, and being involved with the people is where you're going to get the most return. And I think with every single program that I've done, accelerator, or like just the startup programs, the biggest, the most valuable things was the people and the network. it wasn't really the content. It wasn't the support. It was the people I was meeting. It was the networks I was building. And it was people that I still talk to today from so many different events, or programs. It's the cohort of people that you are with and the networks you come out. That's the most important. So after a while, because I mean, not trying to like talk it up, but like I did a master's of entrepreneurship. So I have learned all the, frameworks around entrepreneurship in a master's degree. So I didn't need to do a lot of other programs that taught me more entrepreneurship frameworks. I had already learned so much of that. And to be honest, a lot of the content was so repetitive, but I kept doing more of these programs because I wanted to meet more people. I wanted to meet more mentors. I wanted to meet more, fellow founders that are in same industries, different industries, same challenges, a few steps before me, a few steps after me, just people from all walks of life, but other founders and other, people in the startup space. That's the main reason why I do more and more programs. It's the people.
You mentioned about mentor. Do you have a mentor?
So I have an advisory board now, but I would say, like, unofficially, someone who's always been like my mentor has been my dad.
How important is to have a mentor for an entrepreneur or a founder of a startup?
I think it's quite important, but I think it's important to note that mentors can look very different. It doesn't need to be official. It doesn't need to be having a mentor for the sake of having a mentor. Normally, these relationships come very naturally and organically, so don't force it as well. I see sometimes, and I did this once too, where I was actively trying to find a mentor, but it's kind of just happens organically and naturally. But I think it's once you do have that, it's super valuable, but it will come eventually. It might come in your first year of business. For me, it came much later when I had my advisory. That's coming in my 4th year of business, so it can come at any time.
So what's the future of after? Where do you want to take this?
Everywhere. I think I really want after to become the go-to recovery service for textile waste, for, across the country, across New Zealand, across APAC, as many places as we can go. I want us to be the go-to, when we have textiles, when we have, and eventually other types of waste as well. I want people to think, we can just after it, let's just after it instead of Uber it. We after it, and I want it to become a household name across consumers and businesses.
You mentioned about you wanted to have a reach in each household about after. Do you have any heavy marketing strategies or programs put in place to promote after in that direction? If so, do you mind sharing?
I think our biggest marketing strategies that have worked really well. So we've got your usual. We've got social media. We've got Google ads, Meta ads, TikTok, everything. But I think the most valuable ones is the in-person marketing. So when we did the partnership with the council, we did a clothing drive, and I was there that day, and I was meeting the residents face to face, chatting to them. Why are you here? They're like, I love this service. I'm hearing all this feedback firsthand. Any questions they have, I'm hearing it firsthand. And then like, this is such a cool service. I'm going to tell my sister about it, or I'm going to tell my uncle about it. Like, it's a word of mouth that comes from someone seeing you, like the human behind a brand. Because I think a lot of people are craving that human connection now. Instead of just being sold to, they want to be kind of, collaborating and share storytelling, and not just another brand trying to sell something to me. And I think when I go to these events and I get to meet our customers, or even people that I've never heard of after, but I get to meet these people firsthand and share the story, it's always so positive, and I can see that reflect later when we see people reach out to us and they're like, yeah, so I heard about your brand from like my sister's friend, like people are hearing it from other people, and it's not paid ads that are, doing that alone.
That's interesting, right? You're saying in-person connection in today's world, where social media is dominating, and everyone thinks social media is the new go to portal where you can meet people. But you're saying the other way around, more of an old school method of go and meet people in person. So my question is, Isha, so if someone is starting a service-based firm or a venture, are you saying that in order for them to be ahead of others, they have to just physically go visit businesses, drop some flyers, introduce themselves, what they do and stuff like that, or still
I think
have active presence on social media?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, so we still do social media. I'm not saying it's not valuable at all. It
Mm.
definitely is still valuable. The digital marketing tools are just as valuable,
Yep.
but not as valuable, I'd say, as the in person. So I've gone to households in my areas and dropped flyers off myself. And when people check their mail, people still check their mailboxes and they see a flyer from after and they're like, oh, cool, what's this? And they'll scan the QR code and then go to the website. But I think in service-based businesses, like you definitely need to build that trust. And I think people and consumers are becoming more and more skeptical of businesses and corporates these days. There's so much stuff going on in the world that we're like losing that trust, losing that faith. So when you see like a human, and like even with the new age of like AI and things, it's just we're kind of loving it but also like hating it at the same time. When you go on customer service now these days with any corporate and you end up talking to an AI, most of the time you want to try not talk to the AI and talk to a human because you just want your problem solved,
Yeah.
right? So I think that human connection really builds trust. And I think with service-based businesses, you need that. I think trust is what will help you win more clients.
Clients. Okay. It's point noted. Hey, Isha, look, thank you so much. A wonderful interview. I've got to know a lot about your venture after and how you're adding value to the community and the environment. So thank you again for your time today.
No, thank you so much for having me.